What's up, KGS Headmaster here, and welcome to Finale Friday on this week's theme of travel. Let's kick off with our shout outs. Firstly, many happy returns. We've got Amelie in the second year, we've got Luca in the fifth year, hitting the big 1-6 Luca, and we've got Joseph, Joe, lower 6. So many happy returns to all three of you. Hope you have a great birthday. Despite lockdown, great time with your family. Obviously touching base, lots of well wishes from your friends. And as ever, it's your birthday. I hope it brings everything to your heart's desire. Have a wonderful day, guys. And then when it comes, obviously, to you all, have a wonderful weekend. And we'll look forward to the Saturday, Sunday birthdays when we hit you on Monday with our new video. So, if you're having a birthday over the weekend, apologies for the shout out that's delayed rather than advanced. But have a wonderful birthday over the weekend if it is you. Dabika, in the first year, gold commendation. Many congratulations. Hugely successful, lots of hard work. Really well deserved and delighted to hear it. So well done to you too. Just thought I'd focus on the stories that have been coming in. Finale Friday. Got a lovely story for some of my regular kind of watchers. So thank you for the story about watching divers in Egypt. Got so obsessed with watching them dive, flip-flop. In fact, I've taken to the flip-flops a little bit during lockdown. I don't know how easily they come off. But you don't want them to come off when you're watching divers in the sea, and it obviously drops into the sea. But then by some miracle, it pops up again because one of the divers has seen it and comes along and picks it up and returns it to you. What a lovely story. Or I don't think I'd like this story very much to happen to me. I don't think it's something I'd wish upon anybody to be out in a small boat in Poland, to get stuck on a submerged pier. and then for somebody to come and rescue us, only to find out they're in the slowest boat in the world, and it takes them an hour to reach you while you're sat there waiting to be rescued. They throw you an oar that goes over you and sinks, so that actually you're still stuck there. And so this person gets out of their boat and walks on the submerged pier, so it looks like they're walking on water, and then starts to tow you back in their slow boat, which is now twice as heavy because they've got you attached. And then they run out of fuel on the way back, and they've only got one oar because they threw one over. So it takes you 3 hours to get back. It's a lovely story, but I can't think of anything worse. So I'm just glad you survived to tell the tale, and thank you for sending that through. Do keep your tales coming, brother. I'm going to just say to you, look, I've traveled lots of countries. I've been really, really lucky. I've told you that I've worked and lived a little bit on the east coast of America. I've now traveled to the west coast, traveled to China, spent a bit of time in Ghana, very briefly Dubai, but also school trips to Russia, Germany, Iceland, skiing across the world. I mean, my worst story, school ski trip, trying to look after a group coming down the slope. They were all going too fast. I was trying to keep up with them. Crashed at the bottom because I couldn't control myself. They didn't. So the group I was trying to keep control of, they all finished beautifully. I crashed into a group who thankfully saw me coming, so they weren't hurt. But as one guy saw me coming, he turned. He was still wearing his skis, and the tip of his ski, I was coming at such a pace, tip of his ski went into my arm. I was then airlifted to hospital. They thought I'd broken something, neck, arms, legs, whatever. I was all over the place. I was in bits and pieces, and underwent a small operation in the end, because nothing was broken, but they had to remove the bits of fiberglass from my arm, from the chap's ski. They're gone into my arm. So that was probably my most kind of travel, kind of hilarious on reflection, but terrible at the time kind of occasion. But some of us have been fortunate to have lives that are bigger and bolder than that. And I really want to thank Mrs. Humphrey for sending through her story, which some of you have heard before in Assembly. She's had an incredible life of travel. You all know that she loves traveling to Iceland, and you'd look at her and think she's Icelandic practically, but actually she was born in Uganda, Fort Portal, in Uganda, and her father was out there as an engineer. He was improving the infrastructure of the country. She was named after the hospital she was born in, and she went out 20 years later. So this is kind of a father's map from the time when he was an engineer out there, and a picture of her father and mother on the equator, the kind of time they had out there in kind of exploring the culture, the rich diversity of life we talked about all week. But Mrs. Humphrey went back 20 years later, when it was safe to do so, to visit the people that she and her family had left behind, to visit the hospital. She's got her birth mask, and I think it's just an incredible story of how one can assume something about someone's life, but in fact it's completely different. And how much she feels an affection and affinity with that country We talked yesterday about Alexander McLean's charity, Justice Defenders, and I have to tell you that Mrs. Humphrey, as a fellow Ugandan, is a keen supporter of that charity, and I think it's something we can all admire. And it's just that little story, just sharing that with me to be able to share it with you, that I think should be hugely appreciated. And I think we've said that travel makes you richer. Understanding of other cultures can make you richer. Sometimes it's about where you're coming from, but going back. I mean, I've looked back on my history. You won't believe this. I was looking back on my history, nothing really interesting. But the school I went to, and this might give you a clue of kind of where I went to, the junior school I went to is the last remaining state single-sex junior school in the country. So if you can wiki Google that, you'll find out where I went to school when I was younger. I born in West London, grew up across South London, so nothing really different, I guess, from a lot of you guys, except maybe different schools, different circumstances. But I think if you take Mrs. Humphrey's story, it's enormously different and hugely refreshing. It's been a really big week in so many ways, and I've been amazed by the majority of the responses. I've been slightly taken aback by some. I think it's just been an incredible week for all of us at school. I want to thank everybody for getting involved. Hope this theme of travel has kind of opened your eyes to a few opportunities once lockdown ends, something to look forward to. And I hope you join me for tonight's quiz. That'll be amazing at 4 p.m. on the subject of travel. Lots of entertaining, educational value there. Lots of multiple choice, more importantly, because who knows everything about everywhere? Surely I don't. I'm no geographer, but I'm hoping the geographers and others will get involved. Let's finish on our quote, because we've said that traveling is so important for telling your story. Traveling, it leaves you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller. And that's from the great Ibn Battuta, a Muslim traveller of the medieval period from Morocco, travelled all over the world, and a really well-renowned scholar from that period. So the idea that firstly you say nothing because it's just like so wonderful, but then you've got a huge story to tell about something you've seen, something you've visited, something you've experienced that other people haven't. So keep looking after yourselves. Keep looking after your family. Keep being kind to your friends. Keep working well and being happy. See you for the quiz. Have a great weekend. Thinking of you. Looking forward to seeing some of you soon. Until then, Headmaster out.